please like the show, subscribe to the channel, follow us on Patreon. All of the links are in the show notes.
This week, bare knuckle. We have 2 events in bare knuckle.
Okay.
So guys, we're coming up on a year anniversary when I won the $1 million.
And it was actually more than $1 million.
Yeah, it was like 1.1 or 1.2 or something. But that lowly night in Orlando, Florida, we'll never forget it. This weekend, another great Florida event. For some reason, there's magic in the air in November in Florida with bare knuckle. But actually, the one I'm more excited for. So gambling wise, I'm super excited for that. I did a brief overview of the card. Can't wait to tape it. Can't wait to dive in. So go join the Patreon. It'll pay for all of next year this weekend. That mixed with UFC Brazil, we're going to be solid. But do you know what fight is this weekend?
What do we got?
Sanchai versus Bukauskas in bare knuckle Muay Thai.
Oh my gosh.
They're doing bare knuckle Thailand.
I think I just impregnated my underwear.
Guys, like, how do we even describe that fight? It's like Floyd and Manny Pacquiao doing bare knuckle. It's just the best.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so it's cool. So we have the Florida event, we have the Thailand event, and then we have UFC Brazil. We have LFA Brazil. They're doing that the day before the UFC. And then we have CFFC this week. We have Fury Sunday this weekend. We have a stacked week, and we got the team on it. I unfortunately, with the fight coming up, it's hard for me to get to everything.
But now we have a team of everyone doing a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
there's a lot of smarter people on there than us.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
a lot better gamblers too. So we split the duties, but this should be a really good week. So if you're thinking about it, if you're hesitating, sorry for the last few weeks. The last few weeks have been a little bit up and down, a little bit tough.
I thought they were great.
Yeah, your picks are good. Me personally, I guess I always judge how good the last few weeks about how I've done personally.
I think I'm like 11 out of 12, like 4 weeks in a row at this point. Like I'm 1 away from a clean sweep for like 6 weeks or whatever.
We were just talking about this a little bit earlier. You guys know I try to keep it real with you. Like if I feel like a good week's coming up, I'm like, guys, this is the week.
Yeah.
So go back, if you guys are new to the channel, go back to this time last year, like literally this time last year. And you can hear me for a month saying like, guys, I'm buying a farm in Argentina. There's no doubt about it. This is the week. I'm burning the bridges. Like I'm burning the boats. This is it. And then I went and did it. So like when I say that to you guys, I'm not like messing around. Yeah. If I'm like, I'm just going to be real with you. I'm not trying to sell memberships. I'm like, this week is going to be tough, or this last few weeks, whatever. Florida bare knuckle, Thailand bare knuckle, UFC Brazil, LFA Brazil. Come on, go sign up. $25 a month. You're going to make all next year's subscription fees this weekend. Just don't fuck it off and go to the strip club. Right?
We're live.
Okay, guys, this is pissing me off.
Whoa.
So first of all, we're coming out with fire today. Cole fired again, but like maybe officially this time.
Actually, I think he might have quit.
Oh wait, he quit.
I don't know. We'll have to discuss the severance and all of that.
What is that old line from like Immortal? I'd rather get fired than quit. Now I'm on unemployment and we're making the same shit. I love that line.
I don't know. I don't know this
great line.
I like the line.
But no, he doesn't get anything from the government. But Cole, on to bigger and better things than our lowly podcast.
Yes.
So filling in, we got KK.
KK. That's 2 Ks, not 3. Don't get it twisted.
What up, boys? Good to be here.
Kamuela Kirk is behind the computer. He's behind the camera. He's behind the mic.
Behind the camera, where I belong. Not up there in Brandan seat, keeping his spot warm.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
we don't need
nobody
those
can
problems.
Take over for me. Now, we last week we didn't want to leave you guys without content, so we actually this is sad because we didn't have Cole here to help us out with the audio. Not necessarily that he probably could have. I think it was not an us issue. I think it was our guest. We actually interviewed one of the biggest stars in the world last week, but the audio was unusable. You would think all that money, fame, success, you'd be able to have good Wi-Fi, but it turns out those challenges are not unique to just us poor people. We actually interviewed Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson last week, but the audio was unusable, so we had to trash it.
And he was afraid so the audio, the Wi-Fi was bad, but then he didn't want to use the earbuds to cancel out the echo of the microphone too, because he thought it made him look
huge head,
strange. He didn't like
huge head.
What is that?
Yeah, it was pretty messed up. So unfortunately, guys, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson interview is canceled. That one's going to go in the can. Maybe we'll release it someday, and you guys can just kind of watch.
You can piece the audio apart. You can
we'll release it deaf only.
Yeah, if you can read the lips, yeah, then you can do it.
So I think we have a few podcasts this week, hopefully, and then we have this one, and we're on time.
Yes, we're going to start doing some interview podcasts with some fighters that we like. You know, one that I actually talked to Brandan about. He hasn't even okayed this yet, so if he's listening, I hope he okays it.
And we know that he is, for sure.
We know that he is. Tony Kelly. I want to interview Tony Kelly, and I want to talk about the weirdness that surrounded him cornering Andrea Lee.
You guys should talk about the Israel-Palestine conflict.
No, I do not want to talk about that with TK. Yeah, so we're going to start interviewing some different fighters. If you guys have any fighters, current or retired, or anyone in the fight game that you guys would love to hear us interview, let us know.
Can we please get Kyle Bochniak? Please, can we get Kyle Bochniak?
We need to get him and Cody Brundage on the same time. And this thing...
Hash it out.
The whole world would explode. It'd be like an immovable object in whatever else it is.
Friend of the podcast.
Yes.
So actually, I have something funny about the Israel-Palestine
conflict.
This
is going to end us right now, isn't it?
No, I don't. Well, I don't know, maybe. So remember I used to tell you like a while back about my barber who I didn't want to talk to because I would go sit in the chair. So those of you guys that have been rocking with us for a long time, I've switched barbers like 100 times, and now I'm just not even going.
Your barbers are a thing. It's always a thing on the show.
It's always been a thing because like sometimes they care, sometimes they don't. But this guy, I'd sit in the chair, and he'd go, "You're a champion. You're a legend." And I'm like, "Shut the fuck up. Just cut my hair." And then remember, like one time I was cutting weight, and I used it as the excuse. I was like, "Hey, dude, can we just not talk today?" Because I would say he's like my autistic barber. Like he just felt like he had to talk to me when I didn't really want to talk. So mind you, this guy, every bit of 95 pounds. No, I'm not kidding. He was probably 5'4", 5'5", but like skinny, tiny guy, like very frail, very small guy. And he went off Instagram for a while. Him and his like girl were having troubles, and he'd always tell me, "Hey, I'm gonna move back to Israel. And I was like, "Cool, man, do it. Like, I'll find a new good with me.
Yeah,
you got my blessing.
If I'm the one holding you back, you have my blessing."
Yeah, you can go. You can go. So all of a sudden, I had followed him on Instagram, and all of a sudden the other day I see him post a story. Haven't seen this guy on Instagram in like 2 years. All of a sudden he posts a story, and he fucking moved back to Israel, joined the military, and is posting like blowing dudes up, like fucking shooting them in the head, like crazy shit on his Instagram story, just randomly. I'm like, dude, this is crazy.
You're part of the genocide now, Brandan.
Yeah, I don't know anything that's going on with that stuff. Like, I don't know. I'm just very out of the news, and sorry if that's like ignorant, whatever. I have a lot my own stuff to worry about, but like, I just was like, dude, this guy was like asking me, like, he was telling me I'm a legend like a year ago, and now he's like shooting people. This dude's like 95 pounds.
That is wild. My Israeli barber as well, with Jewish barber.
Yeah.
He is, wears the yarmulke. First of all, I go to the same barber shop for the most part just because it's near the gym. The other barbers will cut my hair, and it'll take them 4 hours, and it's fine. It's a fine barber.
Are you going to Made Men?
Yes.
Oh, that's who used to cut my hair. That's where I met this guy from.
So
Jeff.
The main guy who cuts my hair, the owner, this dude, like 4 minutes and you're out of the chair, and it is the best haircut ever. Like,
wait, are you talking about Jeff?
I don't know his name.
Young guy?
I mean, he's probably a couple years younger. Well, young is relative.
Like, then that's not the owner. Jeff is the owner. He used to cut my hair, and he used to do a great job. Same thing, 4 minutes in and out. Yep. And then he just kind of stopped caring. And it's funny. So first of all, I went back and watched our Tabitha Ricci interview.
Okay.
Because we had interviewed Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. I was like, okay, well, we've only had a couple other guests. Yeah. So I went back to watch it. Dude, who was letting me walk around bald for like years? I had zero hair anywhere.
You looked bad. We just didn't know what to tell you.
I know. And then, I was going back, because I'm fighting coming up. And so I like to watch my old film all the time too. And my fight in Chicago, I thought people were just messing with me. They're like, dude, your hair is like only on half of your head.
Yeah.
But literally my line. So
it was lined up on the outside of your eyebrow.
Yeah.
It was like,
so the autistic Jewish barber's like, yeah, let me line it up like with this. It'll look great. But the guy I was going to before that, just over time, it started here. It was great. Boom, boom, boom. I'm fighting in Chicago. I have hair just on this side of my head, and everyone let me walk around. People would, make fun of me, but you know, it's the gym. Everyone talks shit. Oh, you're
Yeah.
fat, you're ugly, you're gay.
It turns out you were fat, ugly, gay, and had bad hair.
Someone sit me down and just say, dude, what is going on with your hair? Shave it all off, start fresh. So yeah, I have this tradition before fights. I let my hair just grow out because I want to be dirty, gnarly, nasty. And then, you know, weigh-in day, I get a haircut and I feel fresh, like ready to go. But it turns out I keep getting more handsome the more I let this shit grow. It's like a curse. When I try to look good, I fucking bald and ugly. And now I'm looking like I just don't care.
But do you care?
Very much so.
Very
much so. I got a tattoo on my neck that says I don't care, but I care very much.
I care, and that's why I got
It's
that, so I
ironic.
can pretend. No, we got a good fight card coming up. I actually like a lot of these fights. We had a week off. Before we get into this fight card, have you heard any Olympic news about stuff that they added into the Olympics in 2028? I was curious your thought on that.
I just told you I don't know the biggest world conflict right now.
Yeah.
You think I know anything about 2028?
It's random. Like, you might tell me, like, oh yeah, I know everything about like the manufacturing of shoelaces, but
I do watch how it's made quite a bit.
So anyway, so they didn't approve Muay Thai or kickboxing, but they approved lacrosse and, more importantly, flag football. Do you care about that at all? Because I am more excited about flag football being on an international stage than I probably care about MMA at this point.
I like anything that America's going to dominate in.
Well, that's the whole thing. You get Tyreek and Justin Jefferson.
Who the hell is voting on these
catching
Olympic
bombs
sports?
from like Pat Mahomes or, you know, Josh Allen? Like, who's going to stop that?
Did you also see Tyreek said after his NFL career he's going into porn full time?
Good for him. At least he's not beating women.
Hey, well, that's a careful now.
Hey.
Hey, I saw a video the other day. You know how like we do body shots, like, you know, you just hold up and you let someone just body condition you.
Mm-hmm.
It was this girl doing this, and someone goes, "What do you think she's training for?" She had like big fake boobs, and someone goes, "What do you think she's training for?" And someone replied, "Being an NFL player's girlfriend."
Oh man! And
all right, shout out to Ray Rice
today. That's the podcast. We're just going to go through the list of NFL players who have had domestic abuse issues
or alleged.
Abuse.
Yes.
And why stop at NFL players? All right. So we've got what is this? UFC.
Wait, one last thing I want to say, guys. I've been looking for old basketball jerseys.
Okay.
I bought this jersey thinking this was Tracy McGrady. It's Penny Hardaway. I don't even know. No, it's
you don't know who Penny Hardaway is?
No, is it Arnafree Hardaway, Penny I don't know.
I don't know.
It's one of the Hardaways. I thought this was a T-Mac jersey when I bought it. But the problem with the new jerseys is this is like stitched onto it. And when you sweat and you're training, it sticks to your chest.
Now, is that an authentic one or is that like a knockoff?
No. This is a nice one. This is
that
authentic.
looks like you got it at like a 99-cent store.
No, this is a $180 jersey. But if you guys love me and you guys are fans of the podcast, please send me old jerseys, kids size, extra large. Send them to me. I will give you Santino's personal address. You can send them here, and I will give you a shout out on the podcast. And I'll say, hey, look at this jersey. I like Rajon Rondo, and I need Thabo Sefolosha. Sefolosha. Those are the two that I'm looking for. So if you got one, DM me.
There you have it. Anything on this card that you love or hate?
Yeah, I think this is a pretty solid card. I like this a lot, actually.
You know what's funny is a lot of these theme cards, when they travel, they're generally good for betting.
Yeah.
Because when in doubt, you just pick the hometown guy.
There's always one or two bombs on the card.
Yes.
And so you got to learn how to avoid that. But I like this one.
Yeah, there is. We've got the headliner is Jailton Almeida and Derrick Lewis. We'll get into it later. Is this the time that Derrick Lewis just finally stopped showing up?
He stopped showing up. He won last fight, but other than that,
I know, but he still wins. Like, it's still
come on,
crazy enough. All right. Well, let's get into it. We've got
hey, Gabe, I'm sorry, KK, maybe while we're doing this, could you mark down the time?
Yes.
For chapters.
That would actually be great.
Yeah.
And then send it. Yeah. So you can look on there right now just with the time. So yeah, so all of you people out there that complain are like chapters.
We'll just get this done right now.
Yeah.
Because I've been paying, you guys don't know this, I've been paying like $10 to $15 per week every single show for like the last 2 years.
Yeah. for
To
somebody
get
to go
chapters
through
done.
and do chapters. You want to know what's funny? And I appreciate that, and I appreciate everything. There's one little thing with those chapters. I've never said a thing because I'm appreciative and I'm grateful.
Uh-oh.
This is very, very minor, but I've noticed that it's every single time. For YouTube chapters, you have to start 00:00 and then space and then whatever it is.
Okay.
Every single time I have ever received the chapter, it is 00:01. Every single time.
No.
Yes, so I've had to change it every single time to go back. Otherwise, none of the chapters will work.
Because I've manually done it a couple times, and I knew that. I would always do that. But I'll be honest, the person sending them to me could have literally put anything in the world, like just any title. Two gay guys talk about whatever, and I would have just copied and pasted and sent it to you. I never have looked at it ever. So I didn't know that.
Yeah. I'm sweating in here. It's hot.
Are you going to start complaining again? It's 76 in here.
Well, the air conditioner is supposed to be on, but I don't know if it is.
It's not even hot in Arizona right now. It's like beautiful.
But
this
it's
is why
hotter
all
in
the
here.
people live here.
There's no fan. There's no nothing. It's stuffy in here.
Well,
I
I guess
that
we're going to
AC
need a
on
new
higher.
studio. We better move into your house.
It's hotter in there. I need a new AC unit in my house. All right, we've got Mark Diakiase and I don't even know how to say this. I don't even know what that. There's like a weird little triangle on top of an E. I don't know what that is, what it means, or what it's supposed to do to that vowel. But Caio Fernandez out of Brazil, he's 8-1. He's fighting Mark Diakiase. I'll do this because you're gonna have to hit the women's fights first afterwards because I don't mess with those.
Okay.
Fernandez is decent. He looks really tall. He looks tall and lanky. Has kind of a narrow style. He actually throws well off of the break, but he
hides that head kick super well.
Well, so I saw that in his last fight.
He did it two fights in a row where he's coming off the break and he'll throw that hook and that kick right behind
coming
him.
up. So last fight he knocked him out. He does a lot of stuff well. He's a little wild with his strikes. It's kind of when he starts swinging with his hands, he kind of is just swinging. Doesn't seem like there's too much rhyme or reason to it, but he keeps good distance. He's got decent jiu-jitsu. The thing is when he gets tired, he lays on his back. Then you've got Diakiase, who we look at now as a wrestler, who has started as a really, really good kickboxer and has kind of turned wrestler. Checks kicks. He does all the right stuff. His stand-up is good. His cardio is good. His wrestling is really improved at this point. I really like Mark Diakiase here outside of a guillotine. Mark Diakiase, he's got one finish. I think his first fight in the UFC was a TKO win. Every other win is a decision. He has 7 losses in the UFC, 3 of which are from either 2 from a guillotine, 1 from a darce. So he is sticking his head out there and getting choked out. I really like Mark Diakiase for the win, but I really actually like Diakiase by decision, finish equals no bet. Because I don't think Diakiase finishes. I think he takes him down and kind of beats him up. But I think if you really want to go safe on it, you go Diakiase by decision, finish no bet, or just Diakiase straight up. I don't know what the odds are on either of those.
Maybe you could even do the inverse too. Fernandez finish only.
Yep. Yeah. So the only reason I didn't say that, and I actually thought about that, is doing Fernandez finish decision no bet, as I think it's more likely to go to a decision than it will be for him to get finished. And so then you want to get paid on that. I mean, I guess you could see what the odds are on the inverse on it, and you could actually really do all of them and then at least, hedge a little bit and cash out. But I really do think it's going to be a decision by Diakiase. I like him. I think it's kind of crazy. A little while ago, I looked and I believe he was a dog or pretty much even at the start of it. Now,
no, the line's coming down now. He's minus 125.
Yeah, minus 125. But I would have thought Diakiase would have been a much bigger favorite, especially considering the loss on Fernandez was really just getting tired and being put on his back. So I like Diakiase here.
Yeah, I got strong feelings on this one because this is one where I don't, the tape just tells me one thing and is very clear, right? First of all, I learned it this time because I've always struggled with this guy's name. This is like the 3rd or 4th time we've done a breakdown on him.
On who?
Mark Diakiase.
Oh, I thought you were saying the other guy. Oh, Diakiase? Diakiase. I don't know if I like that.
Diakiase, how you say it? How'd you just say it?
I don't even know how I say
Mark
it.
Diakiase. Okay. Yeah, I like him. First, we always go back to the Fiziev fight. Dude, he stood in the pocket and just chilled with Fiziev for a long time. One thing that he does really well. So I'll say this: the Joel Alvarez fight. Maybe I don't give Joel enough credit.
You don't. I feel like you're always hating on Joel Alvarez.
I hate jiu-jitsu nerds.
Yes, and okay, so you hate his fans more than him.
Yeah, okay. I hate Spain. All of Spain.
Look, man, if you hate Joel Alvarez, that's weird to me. But hating Spain and jiu-jitsu, and by proxy, Joel Alvarez, I get.
Yeah, but his striking is a lot better than I ever really gave him credit for. The thing is it's not better than I give him credit for. I just never thought he would be willing to use it. He just is such a jiu-jitsu guy through and through. It's like, I'm striking just so I can do this. And whatever, the headbutt and the head clash and all that stuff. Anyways, Diakiase looked kind of slow in that fight, just on the feet. He just looked like he had no interest and was super slow. And that's one thing that concerns me in this fight. Fernandez is really good in the first round. His striking is clean. He really is solid in the first round. But, watching, and the timing is important for me. We see a lot of these Brazilians come in off the bomba, randomly. And, that fight that he got tired was about 1.5 years ago. So what improvements has he made in the last 1.5 years? But honestly, we've seen 2 first-round finishes that were super quick. And then the last available film that we have is him having one good first round and then getting dogged for the next 10 minutes. Diakiase's fought all the great people. He can strike. He's athletic. He manages range really well. He wrestles for top position. He does get out of a fair amount of submissions. Like, the dude is really, really talented. He's really, really good. And I guess the last part is he's at Goat Shed now.
Oh, is he?
Well, I think he spent the last month at Goat Shed.
Really? Okay.
Which,
interesting.
I actually like that because Goat Shed, I don't, it's hard for me. Goat Shed sometimes goes either way. Sometimes I get so sold on Goat Shed and I'm like, man, they're the best gym in the country. This is like the best thing. And they come out and lay an egg. And then the other times they bring the dog fight out of people, right? That little Argentinian kid, that little 20-year-old, like knocked out Otman Azitar or whatever.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they bring the fight out of people. And so I really like that for Diakiase. I honestly just think he's better everywhere, and he can put together a full 15 minutes where on tape, we have just seen that Fernandez cannot put together a full 15. He looks fine for the first round. And then after that, he gets dog tired, and he is willing to play on his back. Now, his submissions are solid off his back. I think his jiu-jitsu is fine, but, man, I mean, I just don't understand how the line keeps going back towards Fernandez when I think Diakiese's literally better everywhere in experience, athleticism. I honestly think his striking is even better. The only place I'd maybe say that Fernandez is better is pure jiu-jitsu, but I think Casey's been around the block. He got it.
Yeah. I like Diakiase here. All right. Next up, we've got some women. And for all of you people who think I hate women, I don't. It's just time thing. It's a time thing. There's so many fights. There's 13 fights on the card. And, women are so volatile.
Women in general are very volatile.
Women are volatile.
Yes.
Women fights are volatile. And, so we've got Montserrat Ruiz versus Eduarda Moura. Give us your thoughts on that.
Yeah, we don't need to spend a whole lot of time on this one. Eduarda Moura is massive. So we did a Contender Series breakdown, Pierce and I, earlier this year. We took a dog shot on her opponent in that fight. And really quickly, like as soon as we looked at the weigh-ins, we knew it was a mistake. And the problem was we were doing the breakdowns before we could see the weigh-ins. And with Contender, that's really, really hard because, I mean, literally half the story is what you see at weigh-ins, right?
Yeah, a lot of times you don't even – the film we've seen so many times is like 4 years old. You haven't even seen them until you see them at weigh-ins.
And then they come out and they're just shredded and huge. And that's exactly what she is. She's what, 5'6", 5'5", something like that. She's fighting Montserrat Ruiz, who we just saw get toyed with grappling wise. I don't know how good Moura is. I think there was some tape early on that looked not great, but then her Contender Series fight, she looked world beater and she looked huge and she looked like she could grapple her ass off. I heard Montserrat is the tiniest human on the planet. She's listed at 5 foot and Moura is at 5'6". She's minus 500 right now. I think she's going to be every bit of that in this fight, and she'll probably close closer to like minus 750, somewhere in that range.
Okay.
No reason to overthink this.
So you're
one.
saying there's a chance.
There's a chance.
All right. Angie Hill, Denise Gomes, Gomes. Go give us a quick version on that, and then we'll move on.
This is a really, really tough one because I love Angie, and I get sold on Angie every single fight. Maybe as a mixed martial artist, she is better, But man, Gomes has hate in her heart, and that's something that's really underrated. And I guess, I'll look at it like this: she fought the Russian chick in Invicta. That was one of my biggest plays. I bet on the Russian chick. What's her name? If you have it available.
Who is it? Who fought Angie or fought
Gomes?
Give me 1 second.
That was it was a one-sided fight until it wasn't.
Not Yasmin Uruguay.
Nope, she's Mexican.
Yeah, she fought. In Invicta or in UFC?
In Invicta.
Milana Dudova.
Yeah, Milana Dudieva. Yeah, that girl is really good. She really is talented, has really good hands, good wrestling. I mean, she's pretty well-rounded everywhere. She put a beating on Gomes. And then round 3 came, and that girl with the neck tattoos, she's standing there still swinging on her. Got her. And she swings with hate in her heart. She's really, really aggressive. I think Angie is better everywhere. Just technically, been around the block, fought highest level of competition. But something about that aggressiveness is really, really scary to me.
Now, do you think that aggressiveness is going to pave the way for Angie to get takedowns? Because her wrestling is significantly improved these days.
I just hope she uses it. That's the thing, is I just hope she uses it. I have no reason to believe she won't use it. I think for me, this is a tough one. I'm going to go Angie just on experience, level of competition, jab, striking. I mean, she seemed like she's gotten this confidence other than that last fight where she got destroyed. But yeah, I like Angie here, just a little more well-rounded.
Okay. Moving along to some bigger boys. We've got Vitor Petrino and Modestas Bukauskas. We've talked about Bukauskas before because he recently beat a guy that it was our parlay buster. Everybody was on, was it Tyson Pedro? Yes, Tyson Pedro over Modestas. And the whole world was, Tyson was, what did he end up having, a staph infection or something there?
Yeah, he had the shits or something.
Yeah, something. And so he looked good round 1, fizzled out round 2 and 3. And then Modestas just beat Zach Pauga, whatever. Before the Tyson Pedro fight, we saw Modestas fight in Cage Warriors against Chuck Campbell. And the thing with Modestas is he's good everywhere. He really is good everywhere. He's actually a technical striker. His cardio is good. Everything is good. All the boxes are checked. The thing is, he doesn't actually do anything. He just stands there. He has people hurt and he just won't do anything. He had Tyson Pedro hurt and just on his deathbed gassing out, and he just doesn't do anything. If you press him, he'll swing back. If you don't, he's happy to stand there with you and look at you as long as you'll stand there and look at him. And the thing with Petrino is Petrino's in your face. He kind of looks a little slow, and not even slow. It almost looks like he slows down, but I don't think he slows down. I think he's just naturally slow, if that makes sense. Like as the fights go, you're like, oh man, he looks like his movements are labored. But then if you actually go back and look at him from the start, you're like, I kind of look like that from the beginning. But he's in your face. He's got decent striking. What I really like is honestly his takedowns. For a bigger Brazilian, he does such a good job of almost like blasting a double leg, but instead of a double leg, it's like a body lock. He comes up to a high dive, and it's not a technical high dive for you wrestlers out there. He just blitzes into a body lock and just really lifts people off, dumps them down. His grappling is solid. He doesn't go crazy and try to kill everyone with it. And he does a lot of the right stuff. And Modestas doesn't hurt people. He dropped Zach Pauga, but that's when like Zach was like rushing in and blitzing in. He ran in basically to a straight left or right, whatever the hell it was. After that, that was it. That was the only time he hurt him, was when Pauga was just blitzing him and ran into some punches. So I don't think if it goes to a decision, I think Petrino is in your face and active enough to where he wins the decision. And if there's a finish, I think it's got to be Petrino. He loves that big rear side uppercut. He times it well. He reads shots really well. I don't remember if it was in his last fight or the one before that against Anton. He's throwing big right hands, and then you see his opponent start to duck, and he turns that right hand into a really beautiful uppercut. He does a lot of stuff well, and in Brazil, I like him here. I like Petrino here quite a bit.
Yeah, Petrino was, I remember being stuck on it. There's that Claudio something, and then there's Vitor Petrino, and they were both on Contender Series, and I kept going like, which one was the one I was thinking of? I was like, it's not Claudio, because Claudio is like kind of shit, But this guy is the one. Vitor is really, really good. I love his striking too. His striking is really educated and actually really clean, even for as slow as he is. He pulls a lot and counters back. He puts combinations together. The dude's grappling like leveled up a ton too. He's just really, really solid everywhere. I think this guy's a future star in the sport, and technically you just hit every good point. Modestas, we know. I think Modestas is fine, and he's underrated for a lot that he does.
I think we were hard on him when he came back and fought Tyson Pedro. And if you look at his record,
well, there was a reason to be. He went life or death with a 40-year-old man in Cage Warriors.
Well, and again, most of that is just his inactivity. But he actually has some decent wins, and the guys he's lost to in the UFC are actually good guys. It's just his fighting style.
He has skills. He just doesn't want to show them.
Yes.
And Petrino is willing to show his skills. Yeah, I like Petrino here. He's very, very solid.
Okay. Man, next up, we've got Rinat Fakhretdinov and Elizeu Zaleski. I'm actually really excited about this fight on a technical level. Let me hear your thoughts on it, and we'll go from there.
I really, really wanted to like Zaleski here. He just fought a Dag Russian, Nurmagomedov, and won. So I really, really wanted to like him. And, Rinat, I've been trying to fade since he came into the UFC, right? Brian Battle and Kevin Lee. No, I didn't fade him against Kevin Lee, but I've always thought like, okay, there's something here, and he's not all that he said he is. His wrestling is legitimately very, very, very good. The thing with Nurmagomedov in the last fight, he would shoot kind of once, and it was some shitty takedown, and Zaleski's just so big, so tall, so athletic. He would defend it really, really well. Fakhretdinov, he gets his hands locked around the butt quickly. He doesn't sit there and wait for you to cage wrestle and defend. He is just constantly there. And then the one thing that I love most about his game is once he gets you down, he's not like most of the other Dag Russians that kind of let you stand up and then they re-drag you back down. He is constantly reaching and grabbing for hands, for wrists, for control, for handcuffs. Like the dude is, he's great on top, adds great ground and pound. And his striking is not as bad as I remember it being. Like he does just enough to stay safe and stay in a good distance. And that's the one thing that bothered me about Zaleski in the Nurmagomedov fight is he didn't just press Nurmagomedov the whole time. He was out pointing him for sure and having some bigger shots on the outside, but he was also willing to have his back against the cage and he was willing to take the fight a little bit slower. I think Rinat is just a lot more active than Nurmagomedov is. He's a lot more willing to wrestle and he kind of just knows what he's good at and he's willing to go do it. So as much as I really wanted to like Zaleski here and say like, oh, that's such a good play, Zaleski's definitely on the older side. Weirdly, even in Brazil, I think he's the B side here, clearly. As Rinat just beat Kevin Lee and Brian Battle, two guys that, were big time. So I like Rinat here. I think Renat's going to end up drowning him. That's what I got.
So the Nurmagomedov fight, the thing that really impressed me is one, Zaleski. I don't think a lot of people when they fight these Russians, they're inactive and they back up because they're so afraid of getting taken down. Zaleski will throw. He doesn't care. He'll throw. Watch. I wish actually Zaleski was a bigger name because I want to do a breakdown on his takedown defense. It's gorgeous and it's underrated. So often right now you see people get somebody will shoot on them and they float the position into the cage and then everyone starts defending and cage wrestling, all of that. Zaleski doesn't. What he actually does, he actually sprawls. Watch him against Nurmagomedov. He will actually sprawl, and not like a crazy sprawling on his head, but he sprawls. Somebody shooting at like your waist or at your belly button, basically, will say. So my shoulder is a foot above that. He will sprawl. He slides down, and he gets his head and shoulder lower than them as he goes. The other thing that he does is so often we see people get a whizzer and then wrist control and then they defend and they try and pull people up. He does not do that. He digs an underhook and he doesn't dig an underhook to the underhook side. His whizzer hand, he digs that underhook.
I love that. That's the hidden takedown defense that nobody knows about.
Yes.
Literally even just an upside down grip like this and keeping that underhook on that side is so important because you underhook on this side, people sink and they drive to the other side.
And he digs the correct underhook. And then as he's going, he doesn't leave his chin above people. He gets his head and his shoulder underneath them and he turns the position. That alone, I just absolutely love. The difference between Rinat and Nurmagomedov is Nurmagomedov was shoot high and come up body lock. And actually, Zaleski did a great job of opening the hands of Nurmagomedov when he did get his back. He opened the hands, he put a lot of pressure, he dug a single underhook, and then he turned. Then the difference is, you actually said it, is Rinat locks his hands. Rinat is
right away too.
Yes, and he's able to lock his hands because Rinat shoots lower on the legs versus shooting to come up to a body lock. That said, if we look at Rinat and who did he fight right beforehand? I'm pulling it up right now.
Andres Micheladas.
Micheladas transitioned well, stopped the shot, and looked really good. And then he gassed. The wrestling gassed him out. Zaleski doesn't gas out the same way. And he, like, I think Zaleski's got 2 good rounds in him.
I agree with that. Round 3 is tough for him. But
yes,
2 good
and
rounds.
I think he's got to not get finished in round 3. I like Zaleski here. I think he's a dog. He's got to be plus 250 right now or somewhere around there. Is it risky? Absolutely. It's always risky betting against a wrestler who's going to take people down and hold them like that. But I don't think he's going to finish Zaleski. I think being in Brazil, it's going to help. I think he's going to have the bigger moments, and I wouldn't be surprised to see some sort of a split type of decision, but him getting the win. I actually wouldn't even be surprised to see him get clipped with something coming in. I love the way Zaleski defends. If he has enough cardio to keep it going, I
see.
I like him
that's
here.
the only thing for me. And going life or death with Nurmagomedov was one thing, but I think Rinat is a better wrestler than Nurmagomedov. Like, I just think he is a better wrestler than him.
But I don't think he's as good of a striker as him. So I think him coming in, he's going to have to. I think Zaleski's striking is going to really change the dynamic of Rinat's entrances. And then I think with a little bit more space, Zaleski moves out and defends. And
I could see that.
Stuff.
Well, honestly, looking at the card, this was the one that I was like, I see everybody on Rinat, and I'm like, I don't know, Zaleski's pretty good.
Yeah,
Zaleski is an ultra vet of the game, and he's corrected a lot of the mistakes he used to make, and his striking is legitimately awesome.
I could be biased too because I just love his takedown defense.
Yeah, you are biased, but I could see it too. I was kind of on the same page. I like Rinat to win this fight, just for the podcast. For that part, but I would not put my life savings on it.
Yeah, I wouldn't put money on it. All right, next up, we've got Daniel Marcos and Victor Hugo.
Okay, this one I spent a lot of time on today. I want to start by saying this. I love Daniel Marcos' game. I think he's awesome. Jabs, low kicks, keeping distance, great range. I love his game. I think it's really, really good. I think his last fight, it was just something about it. Davy Grant is so unorthodox in how he throws. Sometimes it's just the timing of it. It's not even a skill for skill. Like, I would say Marcos probably throws punches better, and like you watch him on the mitts, he probably looks cleaner, but Davy just had his timing. And every time that
I wonder if it's, sorry to interrupt, I wonder if it was the power of Davy, because Marcos is amazing. I actually thought Davy should have probably gotten the nod on that.
Oh, everybody thought that.
And then,
yeah, I thought he won.
But Marcos's big thing there is he just was inactive. And I wonder if that's a power thing.
It could be, but also that awkward, just the way that he throws and the way it's awkward. It's just really awkward. Davy makes every fight super, super close. Like, how do you get a beat on that? It's not like, I don't know. He doesn't throw like normal, but he's also very good too. I'm very high on Daniel Marcos. I think he's got great skills. I think he's really awesome. And then watching Victor Hugo, it's almost like the opposite. I'm like, I watched 30 minutes of film on him today, and I came back from film going like, is this guy good or not? I don't really know, because here's the thing. He shows flashes of brilliance, right? When he's a couple of the fights, he's moving his head and he's got like crazy head movement.
He looks better in his older fights than he does in his more recent fights.
Yeah.
He looks more calm and traditional. And now he's kind of swinging, shooting, and Minari rolling into a leg lock.
Yeah, and so that's the thing, is like sometimes he'll show amazing head movement and then he'll step back in the pocket, counter over the top, and sometimes he looks super dynamic and clean on the feet. And then like 85% of the other time he's getting backed up and just getting smacked. And then grappling wise, this is interesting because, watching Marcos when he fought Simon Oliveira, who I rate super, super low. Simon got in on a single leg and was kind of working it against the fence. And
every time he pushed him, he got in on his legs into the fence.
Yes. And I rate Simon Oliveira almost as low as possible. Victor Hugo is a lot of things, but he is an animal in terms of strength. He is so strong that I think it makes up for a lot of the things that he does wrong. So that's why I'm saying I don't know if he's good or bad, because the dude is diving for heel hooks.
He's good. He just dives for heel hooks. That's what it is. He's very skilled.
But also when he does dive for heel hooks, his leg entanglements are very good. They're not loose leg entanglements.
And sometimes he won't live or die by him. He'll come up on top if he doesn't get him.
And that's what I'm saying. So I'm watching this fight going, okay, I think Marcos is better. I think the dude legitimately is very, very good. But Hugo has shown on the feet, like, he can slip a punch, he can slip and rip, and he throws huge bombs over the top. And then he gets in your face and he grabs a single leg and he almost Damian Maia's it. He doesn't like wrestle normal. But
he will lock his hands and lift you up and dump you on your head.
Because he's an animal and he's super strong. But he runs the pipe like crazy on those single legs. And I'm thinking, like, watching Simon Oliveira working on a leg and the dude can't wrestle for anything. And then I'm watching Victor Hugo just, run these guys to the ground. Then he'll jump to a leg and do something stupid, but then he'll come up to the top and then jump on your back and choke you. I'm just thinking, like, watching the film before I looked at the odds, I was like, okay, this is probably closer to a pick 'em. I would say Daniel Marcos probably minus 150. He's like minus, let me see. I thought he was like 285 when I just saw.
No.
Yeah, let me take a look. Yeah, Daniel Marcos is minus 241. Victor Hugo plus 206. I just think Victor Hugo is going to make this fight a lot closer, and not because he's as good as Marcos, but it's just a kind of a shitty, annoying style to fight. He's going to like throw giant punches and grab a leg and just be grappling heavy on top. His jiu-jitsu really is very good. I don't know. The mistakes that he makes, I think, is overcome by his strength and athleticism. So I understand Marcos, and I posted this on Twitter, and a lot of people were like, yeah, Hugo sucks. Marcos is going to kill him. Biggest lock of the card. And I'm like, okay, kind of, maybe, but I don't know. I kind of see an upset. I'm going to go Hugo on this one.
I am kind of glad you said that, because I went back and forth on this a lot. And everything that you're saying, I went through. It's like all the stages of grief. Like, didn't necessarily hit him in all that same order, but I went through all of the stages nonetheless. And Marcos, you said it, he's really good, but he can get backed up on the fence. And that alone worries me about Victor Hugo. And Victor Hugo doesn't death gas. He's very explosive, but he doesn't death gas, and he'll keep going. And I think this is one of those things where I could see, honestly, you hit all the technical points there. I don't need to rehash every single
Thank you.
one of those. I think Marcos is going to have a very good career in the UFC. And I think Victor Hugo could go 1-2 and then be released. But I think he could beat Marcos.
This matchup is just a weird one.
It's a weird one, because if Marcos showed really good technical defense, or, takedown defense, or a little bit better awareness, I'd be happy to throw everything on it. His inactivity against Davy Grant, and then just the way that Simon Oliveira was just able to push him back and hang on to him, worries me there. So I don't hate this. I think this is funny. I like Victor Hugo actually for the upset here, and I think that's a good one. The other side of that is we're going to look stupid, and Marcos is going to look
just gonna
amazing.
Smack him. Yeah.
And just defend and pull his legs out and just beat him up. I don't think this is going to be competitive one way or the other. I think it's going to be...
Yeah, there's going to be a clear side here.
I think Hugo is going to either like get those takedowns and throw those big bombs and find his way, or Marcos is going to prove himself here and really show his fight IQ. He trains with the Charles Rosa in
legend,
Florida now. And so his fight IQ is going to be through the roof.
And his jiu-jitsu.
He is a member of the MMA Mensa Club. And so you've got to assume that he has the opportunity.
There's actually a fight that kind of reminds me a little bit of this one, and it was on Contender Series earlier this year. It was another guy from the Fighting Nerds. It was John Silva, and he fought this really young kid that was a really, really good boxer, like a very good technical boxer. And I remember like Big Bird Pierce was like so on the Brazilian guy, and I'm like, dude, he's horrible. Like, he looks awful. Everything he does is bad. And that dude came out and dogged the kid. And the kid was very talented. The kid was a very clean boxer, did everything super well. He took the first round, lost the second, and then just kind of in the third just kept getting dogged. the Brazilian guy standing hands down, throwing one-off punches, but he was just so strong and so powerful and so in his face and just so willing to fight that he just kind of dogged him. And it kind of reminds me of this fight where Marcos is so much more technical and beautiful of a striker and does everything well, great cardio, great everything, volume, puts everything together, and might just get dogged out by this guy.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's Jack Shore, Ricky Simone. I mean, you love Jack Shore, and Ricky Simone's like, cool, I'm going to go punch you and knock you out now.
Annoying.
All right, moving along. We've got Elvis Brener and Esteban Ribovics. This one I didn't even want to watch.
Yeah, it hurts. Producer?
Do you have any thoughts on this, KK?
Let's go Esteban.
I am going to start on this. Did you start on the last one?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. We saw Elvis Brener beat Guram. Did we know if he had a sickness or illness or what? Because he looked bad from the get-go.
Bitchitis. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know.
Guram just didn't look good from the get-go. That said, Elvis Brener looked great. He got body lock takedowns. He, just threw in the clinch. But honestly, I think Guram, when he threw on the outside, landed everything. I thought Guram looked better. And then Elvis had moments when Guram was tired and he would like throw and get stuff. And then, of course, he clipped him in the third and whatever. That was that. But before that, we all thought, Guram was going to murder him because Elvis did not look great in his previous fight before that.
Yeah.
And he's decent. Elvis Brener is very good everywhere.
He's serviceable.
He's serviceable. His striking is a little loose. He's down. He's fine, but he's not. There's nothing that wows you about him. I was most wowed about his ability to take Guram down. And then I was most wowed that the ref didn't stop the fight after, when at the end of that first round when they probably could have called it off, and they did. But he's durable. He comes back well. He's just like Charles Oliveira, where it's like right on death's door, and then he comes back. He's like, no, I'm not quite ready to die and go to heaven yet. And he did a lot well. I do think that his cardio is not amazing. I think Guram's cardio just looked that much worse.
Guram looks like he has a massive cut.
Yes, he looked like Skeletor.
Yeah.
So I think him moving up, I don't know. I think him moving up is probably too big of a jump, but I think that weight class is hard. Esteban Ribovics, he never gets tired. I watched this fight with Kamuela again. At the end of the third round, he isn't even breathing heavy. And that was, they went at a pace that was wild. His striking, first of all, his head, I was telling Kamuela this. I'm watching the video of it, and I had to check my monitor and everything to see if it was on a weird distortion, because his head looks like it's 3 times the size of his body. And I was looking at him next to Kamuela as I'm watching it, and you have Kamuela, who's head, body proportionate with each other. And then you have Ribovics, it's body, and then a head of 185-pound human. The dude can take a shot. His wrestling has gotten better. His jiu-jitsu, you always use that Kimura to get back up, and he does a lot of the right stuff. I don't know that Elvis Brener is going to be able to just dog him out in the wrestling department again and again and again. And I think Ribovics has gotten a lot better, and I love Ribovics' cardio. The cardio on him, his striking, he's gotten a lot more controlled. When we saw him on Contender Series and in his fights pre-Contender, he was just swinging for the fences. He's checking kicks. He's blocking kicks. He's a pretty educated striker, and he is down to swing, and he's got a granite jaw. I got to go with a guy who's overall pretty good and has really good cardio over a guy who's okay with a little bit subpar cardio.
Well, let's not forget this, that Brener was brought in twice to be
to lose.
Yep. And he won both times. One probably shouldn't have won, and then the other one he did win. I think they're just doing the same thing here. They understand what they have in Ribovics. The kid is good. That's a case of the pre-UFC tape just not matching what he is. And this is funny. I was listening to Sean Strickland talk the other day, and he was talking about sparring. And he goes, so many people get so amped up for sparring. And he goes, the whole key to the whole thing is just relax. You just have to relax. He goes, we're fighting. We're going to be fighting whether you're amped up or you're relaxed, but you're going to have a lot more cardio if you just relax. Watching his fight with KK, The dude's got his back taken. He's in, getting mounted, and he's just like, whatever. Okay. I guess we'll see next round what happens.
He's calm.
He's so calm. It's almost eerie calm. Where I'm watching that fight, that's my brother fighting, and I'm like, oh, come on. And Ribovics, it's the most terrifying thing in the world. He just comes out and he's like, all right, let's go. Like it doesn't phase him. He doesn't see anything. His hands are very fast, very, very fast
and heavy.
Yeah, I don't see this going another way. I really like Ribovics here.
Decision or finish?
I don't think he cares. Whatever comes his way. But no, I really do like it. I mean, he just doesn't care. He's just kind of like walking around like, what did we just do here?
Yeah, I think he's going to get the finish here.
Yeah, I do too.
Because I think he doesn't care enough to throw down, and I think he's got a tough enough chin.
Yeah,
that when they go chin for chin, I think Brener's chin is going to fail before Ribovics.
Yeah.
does.
Okay. Cool. We're on the same. Kamu, anything to add to that?
No, I'm rooting for him, man. I like the guy on a personal level. And nobody wants to. I haven't watched the fight back, so don't spoil it for me. I don't know who won or lost that fight. Don't spoil it for me. But no, man, nobody wants to lose to somebody who goes out and loses. If you're going to lose to anybody, it's somebody who's going to do big things in the division. So no, I'm rooting for the guy.
You always root for your opponents one way or the other, because if they win, if they beat you and then they go on to win, you're like, okay, I lost to the good guy. And if you the other verse, the other way around.
Yeah, he is actually a nice guy too. So that. I don't know if that helps or hurts.
Handsome kid too. Yeah. And he's with Henry Hooft. I love it. Keep it simple, stupid.
I remember before every fight, I always like to hate my opponents. I've seen certain people like Johnny Mack, who certain guys, the way they cope with nerves is they try to become friends with their opponents. It just makes them feel more comfortable. Like it's not as scary and their opponent isn't this giant enemy in a nightmare that's trying to take them out. I'm not like that. I like to hate my opponents when I go into a fight. And when we got to Vegas on Tuesday for fight week, it was about 11:30 at night, and I was in the walking through the hotel with my dad, and we were standing in line to go buy something. And then all of a sudden, I feel these hands like grip my midsection, like my stomach and back area. And I turn and I look, and it's Esteban. and then he's like, I'm
hey
like,
there.
I'm like, hey man, I don't like talking to my opponents beforehand, but I turn, I look at him, he's got a smile on his face. And I'm like, hey, what's up, man? We shook hands, and we had to have ran into each other 50 times fight week. And he made it impossible for me to hate him, dude. He was the coolest dude, had a good sense of humor, is a real nice guy.
He just kept coming up and tickling you?
He just
every chance he got.
Dude, and it's funny because you talk about like, he looks like he just doesn't care. Like for him, it's I think that's true, man. Like he's there for it's business for him. I don't think it's anything is personal for him at all. I think he's there. He's going to fight hard either way, whether he's in a good position or a bad position, whatever happens, and he's there along for the ride. And, but he was a cool dude, man. So on a personal level and from a competitive level, I'm rooting for him.
That story made me like him even more for this fight, because he literally just does not care. And that's the thing that we go through all the time. So, Kamu, you are one of the most intense people that I've ever met when you go up to fight, right? I know, as I've gotten older, I've kind of learned when there's the times to joke around and when there's the times to be very, very serious. But one thing I always known since I was 19 years old, 18 years old, and I met you, is that when you're in the back warming up, shut the hell up. It's time to fight. Like, you're serious. Whereas me, when I'm in the back, I'm like grabbing the commission, like talking shit, like, hey, what's up? I'm like all jokes until we make the walk. And then it turns really serious for me. That dude just doesn't care. And that is like the scariest thing. Like, if I fought somebody who just didn't care like that, I'd be like, I don't know. I don't even know what I would say. It would be just weird.
What kind of reminds you of that whole, what you said earlier, is Sean Strickland thing, is that so many people take it so seriously that they inhibit their own performance.
You psych yourself out.
I remember after the weigh-ins, everybody, man, the way it works at the weigh-ins is they split you up. So you have everybody who's fighting from the red corner in one room, and then everyone who's fighting from the blue corner in another room. And so one at a time, we go out there, we do our stare down, and then we go to the back, and then another fighter comes in who just did their stare down, and so on until everybody's back. And then they take all the fighters from both corners, and they bring them into a room where Sean Shelby will come and give a speech, talk about the bonuses and how many bonus, performance of the night's bonuses they're going to be giving out and so on. And in that room, there's a bunch of snacks. So you have different protein bars, you have chocolate milks, you have just a bunch of different, Cheez-Its and a bunch of snacks. And Esteban, after the weigh-ins and the stare down, everybody's hyped up, right? Everyone's pumped. We're just out there in front of the crowd. People get in the back, they're jumping up and down and shadow boxing, like, dude, let's just fight now. We don't, we're so excited. Let's go. They bring us all into the room, and Esteban is getting up, and he walks over to the table. He grabs food, goes and sits back down, gets back up, goes over to the table, gets more food, sits back down, and he gets up and he just looks over. He's like, what? The food is free. The food is free. Why not? Everybody's amped up, dude, and he's just strolling to the table, eating a bunch of protein bars and drinking chocolate milk, and then even fight day, I walked past him because we both had a drug test. I was drug testing for the commission. He was drug testing for USADA. So 30 minutes before we were going out to fight, we walked past each other, and I forget what he said, man, but he's like smiling, and he fist bumped me. And again, we're going to walk out and fight each other here to open up UFC 290 International Fight Week in Vegas, T-Mobile Arena, huge card, one of the biggest cards of the year.
Insane fucking fight, and that's his demeanor.
And beforehand, he's smiling, he's fist bumping. We're fist bumping each other right before fighting because we have to pee into a cup first. And
aren't you looking at him like, dude, like, we're about to fight,
dude,
be for real?
No, like literally, I peed and then was warming up to go out and fight him about a half hour later, and he's just back there, dude, as calm as could be. And it's just funny how everybody's demeanor is a little bit different before making that walk.
He needs an "I care a lot" tattoo because he does not care.
He does not care. All right, man. I'm glad we got that out. That was a good one.
Nice little gem.
Yeah.
Take that, MMA guru. What stories you got?
What? We're just calling people out now.
Yeah.
You can all get it. Man, next we have the first of our Bonfim brothers, Ishmael Bonfim versus Vince Pichel. Go.
Okay, I like this Bonfim fight a lot better than the other Bonfim fight. And for nothing more, Vince Pichel is super game. I mean, he does everything legitimately very well. Watching the Marco Madsen fight, Mark threw a lot of good calf kicks, had some good grappling, but Vince did a good job defending everything. Like, he legitimately is very good. I think at the end of the day, we just kind of have to look at metrics here. I mean, he's 40 years old. He is susceptible to the calf kicks. Not that he's fragile, but he's fighting Bonfim, who just like kind of the Terminator. He really is a destroyer. And, we were kind of hard on him for the Saint Denis fight, but now we see Saint Denis is who he is. Yeah, I mean, I don't think we need to think a lot into this one. I like this Bonfim matchup a lot more than I like the other Bonfim matchup, for nothing more than just like age, physicality, even skill set. This Bonfim, I don't know how to say who's more skill for skill, but I think Dalby's a much tougher test than Vince Pichel is. Just I don't know what I'm saying here. This Bonfim's gonna win. I like Bonfim here.
Okay. Yeah, Pichel is good everywhere. He's 40. I think we're done.
Yeah.
No, I think the reality is Bonfim is very good everywhere, but he's busy. He's okay to trade in the pocket, whereas Pichel is long and is used to being long and is used to kind of he's used to people trying to get inside and grapple him, and then he defends the grappling and stays on the outside. He's going to be long. The only thing I don't like about this Bonfim and this Bonfim fight
he's tiny.
He's tiny. I think he should be at 45. I think that Saint Denis fight, man, Saint Denis is huge. The dude should be at
70.
210.
Yeah.
Like, he should be fighting like heavyweights. And Bonfim just looks small. We saw how great Bonfim did about taking down Terrence McKinney, getting back up, defending, doing all of this stuff.
McKinney even took his back, and this was kind of my favorite thing. I don't know why. Whenever I see this in tape, I'm like, oh no, this is my guy. McKinney took him down, took his back, and then Bonfim just kind of looks to his corner. He's like, all right. And then he just, butt scoot out, switched to the top, and looked great doing it.
Did all the right stuff. My worry with this fight at all, if there is a worry, is really just size. And can he get on the inside and do as much as he needs to? The other thing, that's kind of a weird stat, for lack of a better term. He has 3 losses in the UFC now, all to grapplers.
Who? Vince?
Yes.
From Hell Pichel?
From Hell Pichel. All 3 of them. He's beaten all of them. I don't know. I mean, I guess you'd call Miller a grappler.
I would, yeah.
But I mean, lately he's been so much more of a striker, so that's how I kind of think of him. But I thought Miller won round 1, but Miller kind of gasses at this point.
Yeah.
So I think the younger guy fighting in his hometown with the crowd, everything there, I think he's going to win a decision. I think a lot of it's just going to be willing to trade in the pocket and fire in those exchanges, and he's so tight and his defense is so tight that I think he does all of the right stuff, and I think he's going to be willing to trade. So I like him here.
I think if Vince was 15 years younger, Bonfim would still win. And now you're adding 40 years old to
Yes, I think you're right. So, all right, nothing crazy there. All right, Rodolfo Vieira and Armen Petrosian. I'll go first on this one. You know, Vieira got dropped by Brundage, friend of the show.
Friend of the show.
We've seen him look good. We've seen him look bad. We've seen him in MMA. Kind of know what you're getting at that point. Armen Petrosian, his striking is good. What I like about Armen is it's my recent coaching theme that I am trying to drill into everybody's head. And that's lateral movement. That doesn't mean stand there and look, and when your opponent throws or shoots or does whatever, then you start moving. It's no. You don't throw a jab and end up where you were. You throw a jab and you end up 2 inches to your left or 2 inches to your right. You're constantly moving laterally. And Petrosian does that really well. He finds his positions. He's a good kicker. On a striking level, he really does all of the right stuff. He knows how to touch. He doesn't overextend. Everything is really, really, for the most part, solid in terms of his kickboxing. I'd like him to sit down on his punches and trying to hurt people a little bit more, whatever. He gets taken down. He'll just get blast doubled and taken down and controlled. Against Vieira, I think, you see him against, who is a RoboCop. Got taken down. He's defending the back really well, doing a lot of stuff. They end up scrambling out, whatever. Vieira's a different animal. Vieira's going to take you down. He's going to jump on your back, and then he's going to get on top and throw a head and arm choke. And that is the difference. Is I don't think Vieira's going to blow his arms out on the back. We saw it with Brundage. He's going to punch him, and then he's going to set up that head and arm triangle. And he's managed his cardio to really good levels at this point. And I think he's just going to find his timing, blast double, get the fight to the ground, rinse, repeat until he finds his submission. Could Petrosian clip him on the way in? Absolutely. But Petrosian isn't this scary power puncher. He's a pick you apart and kind of chip away and beat you up kind of guy. I really like Vieira to get the hands locked, blast double, hang on him, beat him up, and find a head and arm submission later in round 1 or 2.
You know what's funny is that you're pretty one-sided in this breakdown. I haven't seen a single person go out on a limb and say Rodolfo.
Really?
Every single person is like Armen. And I'm just kind of sitting here thinking like, really? I get it because it's the kind of the archetype matchup, right? You have the gassy grappler with the big heavy arms, and he got dropped by Brundage versus the kickboxer that's going to sprawl and brawl. And so I understand the archetype and the matchup. I'm looking at this one like, I don't know. Rodolfo seems like a really tough test for Armen. And, he beat Christian Leroy Duncan last time, and I was big on Leroy Duncan, and I was like, no, this kid's the truth. He's going to do it. The dude fought about as dumb as he.
Well, hold on. We got to go back to that because we both said, I remember this, and I don't know why. There's just some breakdowns I remember. I don't remember almost any of them. I have to watch film on every single fighter for every single breakdown. We'll do 10 fights on Nicholas Dalby, and I was watching.
Got to go back.
Dude, I'm watching Nicholas Dalby this morning before this. So for some reason, that one I remember, and I remember us both saying, look, Petrosian is probably better everywhere. There's something about Duncan, though.
Special.
There's something special about him that we think he's going to win. So we weren't on him on this marvelous technical level. We were just like, dude, the dude finds a way to win. We think he's going to win. And it was stupid because we even said we think that Petrosian is probably better everywhere, and we don't really know. He's just going to find his way.
Yeah.
So continue that, please.
No, you're 100% right. And who do we say that about? I said that about someone the other day, and then they lost again. I was like, no, this person is special, and then they lost. Yeah. So yeah, I'm totally with you. I like Armen. I like Armen for everything that he is. We've been rocking with Armen since literally since he came to the UFC. We ran that Armen and Armen parlay right when we first started the podcast. I mean, we're looking at Anthony Hernandez, right? Anthony Hernandez has turned out to be just so much better than we ever could have expected. The dude never gets tired. He is a really good grappler. He's game to fight. Like I remember Rodolfo being a -500 in that fight or -800 or something crazy like that. If you had to reline that fight, I mean, Anthony's probably the favorite, realistically.
And look at him with Chris Curtis. I mean, yeah, he couldn't take Curtis down.
But that's what I wanted to talk about. He shot 20 times on Chris Curtis.
Chris Curtis's takedown defense is amazing.
Yeah, Chris Curtis is awesome. That is the fight to me that is like the biggest for the side of Rodolfo. He shot 20 times on Chris Curtis. Shooting a takedown and getting one is a lot less tiring than shooting 20 takedowns and not getting any.
And eating 500 body shots for your efforts.
Yeah, he's definitely been on whatever shoot a box is feeding the guys, and he was before. So I don't know. That Anthony Hernandez fight was a little bit of an outlier. Got dropped by Cody Brundage, stayed in the game. His striking is really not bad. It really isn't bad. You know, he does that kind of karate thing, but he has a very, very decent jab. He's very powerful. He understands range and distance really, really well. I remember when he fought Chris Curtis, I did a 30-minute diatribe about his situation in Orlando. And remember, I was with him when he had the enlarged heart or whatever it was, and they pulled him from the fight. And there was so much stuff going on. And I was like, man, this guy is like a sad life right now. For some reason, I'm like so much the opposite now. I'm like, dude, Rodolfo's kind of figuring it out. He's kind of on top of it. I see everybody in the world on Armen Petrosian here. I think there's a much clearer path for Rodolfo. And just like you said, at least Cody Brundage was down to like swing a little bit until he would just give up. But Armen is just so calculated and so clean that he kind of just puts together a full, performance. But you're right. He gets taken down every single fight. And getting taken down by Gregory Rodriguez is a lot different than, 7-time black belt world champion Rodolfo. That being said, like a lot is made of the 7-time black belt world champion. It's hard to look at that stuff translate to like MMA because MMA is just so different.
But finish your thought. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, when we're coming up in jiu-jitsu, right, as a blue belt, when I was a blue belt, we're like, no, Rodolfo is the black belt slayer. He's incredible. He's so amazing. And then you take the gi off and you start adding punches and adrenaline and lactic acid. Things get a lot different. Like, I guess the biggest example would be Bukauskas. He just fought that Rugrug. He had Rugrug's back like 30 different times and couldn't finish him. This is a 12-time now black belt world champion. Can't finish a guy that can't spell jiu-jitsu. And he couldn't finish him. So it doesn't always translate perfectly, but Rodolfo really is that good. He's that aggressive.
But I like his style to translate because he's mixing the wrestling. And a lot of times you get a lot of really good jiu-jitsu guys who don't have the wrestling and can't get the fight to the ground when they need to. But Rodolfo has the wrestling. He has the physicality.
And he's learned how to manage the cardio.
Yes, and he's a top player. It's like Pablo Popovich. Remember him?
Yep.
The dude would just get takedowns, and once he got a takedown, that was a wrap.
Bukauskas couldn't handle the cardio and had no striking either. And Bukauskas is one of the biggest, like, in jiu-jitsu athletic freaks you've ever seen. I mean, he's a guy that weighs 280 pounds.
But some people can't handle getting punched in the face. And they want to fight until they actually realize that it's an actual fight and not a jiu-jitsu fight.
Yeah.
And
God,
that's
crazy.
different. So
like Rodolfo actually learned how to strike. And even if he has no other strikes, his jab is awesome and his range is awesome and he can bounce. And he's learned how to manage himself a little bit more. So I like Rodolfo too.
Okay. Next up we have Caio and Abis Magomedov. Give us your thoughts on that.
Oh, nice. This line's coming down a little bit. Abus's striking is solid. Like, I thought it was really decent, watching the Sean Strickland fight. The problem is that he's just so big and so strong and everything that he gasses himself out without really doing much. Just like we said before, Caio manages range really, really well. He's got almost that same kind of step as Rodolfo, right? That kind of karate stance. The one thing I don't like is the chin is a little bit high, which is, of course, always going to be a liability. But he sees punches coming really well. He manages distance really well. And he wrestles better than most Brazilians. His jiu-jitsu is phenomenal. I love his jiu-jitsu. I honestly thought like one of the harder fights for him would have been the Michael Olajejczyk fight, only for the fact of the striking. And he did get tagged on the chin quite a few times in that fight. But man, I can't see Abus putting together 15 solid minutes of fighting against Caio, who is just young, spry, athletic, grappling edge, cardio edge, striking. I don't know, who's going to take it there, but I like Caio here. Just all things considered?
I'm on a boost. Yeah, I mean, I like Caio. I think he's phenomenal. Him actually with Petrosian worried me a little bit, where he was just laying on his back. I thought his cardio looked a little bad. He got Petrosian down and then kind of freaked himself out. Maybe there's a little adrenaline type of stuff. You know, we saw that with Rodolfo, with Fernandez as well. I think people are putting too much into the Abus gassing and all of that stuff. He had Sean Strickland in front of him. Who doesn't tire out when Sean Strickland is in front of him doing what Sean Strickland does?
Also, Sean never really offensively grappled.
Yeah. No, but just being in your face like that is claustrophobic. I like Caio. I love his blast double and the timing of it and the way that he manages the range with it. I really do. But Abus's wrestling is good. It's legitimately good, and he does all of the right stuff. He's not fighting a 5-round fight. He's fighting a 3-round fight, and he's fighting a normal human, not a Sean Strickland who's just going to walk in your face. That alone, there's going to be like Sean Strickland is in your face, and you're always fighting, and you're always going, and you're always on guard, and you're always moving. But almost every other fight, it's range. You stay over there. I stay over here. I throw, you throw. Oh, you're blast doubling me, whether you get it or not. There's a movement, and there's a dance to it. There's an understanding. And I think Caio is going to do that. And then I also think Abus is super dynamic. He's unbelievably fast and athletic, and his kicks and his punches are, really explosive and solid. I don't know if I would bet money on this, but I think I like Abus to kind of defend enough and to score enough. And then I think Caio ends up on the bottom and kind of shooting and stuff. So I don't hate Abus here.
I really don't think Abus has the gas to do it.
You don't think so?
No, I get what you're saying. Like we just talked about with Ribovics, right? He stays in your face and he's always pressing you, and Sean Strickland's always pressing you. It does make you freak out a little bit, and it ruins your cardio a bit. But also, so does defending takedowns. Sucks. It's hard, and especially if you end up on the bottom, and if you try to work back up, and you get a good jiu-jitsu guy that makes you work, that takes out of the gas tank. Like Abus to me has always been kind of a first or second round finish. Or then what happens?
Bust,
and yeah. So
KO or bust. All right, next up, what do we have? We're kind of getting through to the end of this. We've got 3 more fights. Rodrigo Nascimento and Jailton Almeida. Why are these two fighting again? They just fought a few fights ago. Rodrigo Nascimento won, rear naked choke, round 2. Then he lost to Chris Dawkins, beat Tanner Bozier, Ilir Latifi. And now we are doing this again. Do you know what the storyline is here?
Okay, I'm going to be honest. This is the one I didn't tape. I didn't know they fought, and I would still pick the same person.
It's so funny because I didn't realize this until later on, but I didn't tape this either.
So let's give our expert opinion on this one, guys.
Let's spend a lot of time here. Nascimento, the guy who's 10-1, who already has a win in his home country, I think does it again.
I think he does it again. The guy who really doesn't make like a ton of mistakes, puts out good volume, good leg kicks. Like he does a lot of stuff moves really well for a.
Jailton Almeida, man, we were big on him with that Hamdi fight. Gosh. And he's so good. And then he knows how to lose.
Yeah.
It's like, I just don't get it. So, all right.
He literally is so big and athletic and can do everything. Yeah. And then just is like, let me go for a crazy trip and end up on my back.
Yeah. I don't get it. All right. Gabriel Bonfim and Nicholas Dalby. Me, you,
whatever you want.
KK, who is?
Yeah, let's have him. Let's put the mics down. Let's have him fill in the rest of the show.
We're out of here. We'll just sit there awkwardly staring at him eating his cake and drinking his coffee.
This is going to be so funny in post when we did like 5 minutes of him talking and us just sitting here,
just standing there. All right, what's going on right now,
dude? It's funny you say that because I noticed that I hadn't pushed any of the buttons, and it was just on you the whole time that I was talking about Esteban.
Yeah.
And I was like, let me go and let me switch this real quick.
Awkward.
All right, let me talk about this fight because I was watching Nicholas Dalby again. I literally said I was watching him this morning. And I think I was on him to beat Warley Alves. I dodged that creepy bullet. I think I was on him to beat Warley Alves. you've been on the ghost of Worley Alves since
I will bet on him again.
I think since the very first, we always talk about this on the pod. The very first thing you ever taped was a Worley Alves fight with Jeremiah Wells.
Yeah, I came to the house and I was like, no, this is the guy.
And he lost. And I think he's lost probably every fight since then. But every fight, you were like, no, this is the time when he's going to be amazing.
He actually, you know what's funny is he lost the one fight that I thought he was going to get murdered in. He beat Munir Lozez.
Oh, that's right.
With liver kicks.
Yeah, the liver kick. So, all right. So he beat Worley Alves. Like I said, I think then we're looking at Dalby. And we've done so many Dalby breakdowns. And I noticed something today that I've never noticed before.
Where he posted his ass on Instagram?
No, but I think you've talked about that every time, and I still am unaware of this.
I'll show you after the show.
So please. He does such a good, first of all, his cardio is actually really good, even though he always thinks he's tired. His cardio is good. That said, he's fighting 40-year-old men. He's fighting Worley Alves. He's fighting Claudio Silva. And then there's somebody else in there Salikov, who's, death gassing as well. So those are his last 3 fights. That said, what he does is he manages range so well. He stays on the outside of your punching range, and he fires low kicks and some middle kicks again and again, a lot of calf kicks, and he shadow boxes on the outside. Like you and I are this far away. He doesn't step in to actually throw to hit you. He just shadows these like jab cross out in the open. And then as you think he's close enough, he counters you and he draws you in with that. And then he kind of lulls you, like you're thinking, oh, they're not close enough. And he's just hitting air. And then he'll actually step in and throw, and he'll close the distance. And he does such a good job of throwing at the air. And first of all, it looks busy. So then you're like, okay, I've got to do something. And then he backs up and draws you in the opponent thinks that he's actually throwing, and they counter, and he recounters them. He goes first and third, and then he closes that distance. The other thing he does really well is on the outside is he kind of lulls you again, and then he'll land those big high kicks and he lands stuff. When things aren't going well for him on the outside, he blitzes you and puts you on the cage. He doesn't necessarily go for a takedown. He just has really good cage control, and he knees and has good head position and controls and does all of the right stuff. And then you're forced to like fight and move and go and just expend more energy. And he just is so good at running the clock and winning on the scorecards, which is really nice. And then he's old now. What is he? 39, 40, something like that, whatever. Then on the other side, you have Bonfim, who does everything well except pull guillotines. But he wins. He finishes them.
They're amazing, though.
They're amazing. So, but the thing I'm watching Bonfim today, and he doesn't. What Salikov did it, Alves did it, and Claudio Silva, is they all stay on the outside, and they have bad cardio, and so they allow the non-fight to happen on Dalby's terms. And then Dalby wins because they're not pressing and doing this stuff. Bonfim isn't going to allow that. He's going to go in and just swing. He's going to have the better chin. He's going to have the better power. The other thing that Bonfim does is if you watch him, we saw it with Trevin Giles. Trevin Giles shot. Dalby did exactly what I said Zaleski does earlier, is he got lower than the head and shoulder. He digs an underhook, and he doesn't say hi, and he actually gets lower and re-grapples. I really like that about him. He threw Giles down, and he's really calm on top. Like, you want to say that as Giles came up, he jumped to a guillotine, but he let Giles come up.
It was
jump to that guillotine.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my God. I was freaking out. I would take that over sex any day. Watching the way that he finished that with the Armen, because how often, first of all, what are the percentage of guillotines that are finished in the UFC?
Yeah.
And if they are, it's always
without an arm.
Without
like
an
a
arm.
high arm type.
He finished it with the Armen, and it's such a unique thing. There was a period of time where I was finishing a ton of Armen guillotines, but it's not like a regular one where you're cranking on specifically the neck and head. You have to really slide it across and move your entire body. And the way that he does that, he just has that finishing instinct with that move, and it was beautiful to watch.
And then you watch him before that with, I think it was Lezez, who finished at Anaconda.
God.
And so he really is doing the right stuff. So I I like Bonfim here to win. I think his aggressiveness is going to draw out a firefight. And I think if he firefights with Dalby, he's going to win. And then I think if he grapples with Dalby, I think he's so educated with his grappling. I like him. And then if it goes to a decision, I think that he's going to be pressing and doing enough on his terms that he ends up winning.
Yeah, I mean, he's minus 600 here. I think that's the part that hurts my feelings because Dalby just keeps fights so close that it just hurts my feelings that he's minus 600. I was hoping he'd be like minus 350 and the odds makers are accounting for Dalby's close fights and his, ability to squeak out wins. I mean, Bonfim's not going to lose here. You're right. And that's what really swayed me too, was like, he is going these really, really close fights, but with like old
geriatrics.
Guys. Yeah. And the Salikov one was really impressive. Salikov, I still think is very good.
Salikov, you could see it was about 2 minutes and 34 seconds into round 2. Salikov broke and ended up on his back and was like, I'm done. I'm
good.
Yep. Cardio killed him.
Yeah, and Bonfim's not going to do that, not in Brazil as the co-main event. Like, this one is a don't overthink it. I'm just annoyed at the price. I'm just really annoyed at the price. And so I think the way to approach this one is probably a single game parlay, like a DraftKings one, and do like over 2 minutes. Over 2 minutes, 3 minutes, something to just drag the price down, because maybe Dalby can stick around. I mean, I think the dude's an ultra veteran. But then again, I've tried that with Bonfim and he finishes in a minute. It's crazy. So I don't know how to approach this one. Bonfim's going to win. No need to overthink it.
A lot of these aren't bettable because you see stuff like that at minus 600 and you're like, the price just may or may not be worth it. Yeah. So one bet I did hit, and I can bet this because it's boxing, and I sent it to you, was Tyson Fury and Ngannou. I hit, it was plus 2,000 that Tyson Fury would get dropped and then win by decision.
I was watching that fight and I kept loading up on Tyson Fury, round 9 and round 10. He was like a slight underdog and a pick 'em. And I was like, seen this story before. Yeah. And I just kept loading up.
When Tyson was at like minus 200 or something, I was sitting next to my buddy who had bet a bunch of stuff too. And I was like, now is the time to slam Tyson Fury because he's still going to win. So, all right, we've got our main event. Before we do, you guys, please like the show. Subscribe to the channel. Follow us on Patreon. All of the links are in the show notes.
This week, Bare Knuckle. We have 2 events in Bare Knuckle.
Okay.
So guys, we're coming up on a year anniversary when I won the $1 million.
And it was actually more than $1 million.
Yeah, it was like 1.1 or 1.2 or something. But that lowly night in Orlando, Florida, we'll never forget it. This weekend, another great Florida event. For some reason, there's magic in the air in November in Florida with Bare Knuckle, but actually the one I'm more excited for. So gambling wise, I'm super excited for that. I did a brief overview of the card. Can't wait to tape it. Can't wait to dive in. So go join the Patreon. It'll pay for all of next year this weekend. That mixed with UFC Brazil, we're going to be solid. But do you know what fight is this weekend?
What do we got?
Saenchai versus Bukauskas in Bare Knuckle Muay Thai.
Oh my gosh.
They're doing Bare Knuckle Thailand.
I think I just impregnated my underwear.
Guys, like, how do we even describe that fight? It's like Floyd and Manny Pacquiao doing Bare Knuckle. It's just the best.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so it's cool. So we have the Florida event, we have the Thailand event, and then we have UFC Brazil. We have LFA Brazil. They're doing that the day before the UFC. And then we have CFFC this week. We have Fury Sunday this weekend. We have a stacked week, and we got the team on it. I unfortunately, with the fight coming up, it's hard for me to get to everything.
But now we have a team of everyone doing a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
there's a lot of smarter people on there than us.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
a lot better gamblers too. So we split the duties, but this should be a really good week. So if you're thinking about it, if you're hesitating, sorry for the last few weeks. The last few weeks have been a little bit up and down, a little bit tough.
I thought they were great. I thought.
Yeah, your picks are good. Me personally, I guess I always judge how good the last few weeks about how I've done. Personally.
I think I'm like 11 out of 12, like 4 weeks in a row at this point. Like I'm 1 away from a clean sweep for like 6 weeks or whatever.
We were just talking about this a little bit earlier. You guys know I try to keep it real with you. Like if I feel like a good week's coming up, I'm like, guys, this is the week.
Yeah.
So go back. If you guys are new to the channel, go back to this time last year, like literally this time last year, and you can hear me for a month saying like, guys, I'm buying a farm in Argentina. There's no doubt about it. This is I'm burning the bridges. Like, I'm burning the boats. This is it. And then I went and did it. So like, when I say that to you guys, I'm not like messing around. If I'm like, I'm just going to be real with you. I'm not trying to sell memberships. I'm like, this week is going to be tough, or this last few weeks, whatever. Florida bare knuckle, Thailand bare knuckle, UFC Brazil, LFA Brazil. Come on, go sign up. $25 a month. You're going to make all next year's subscription fees this weekend. Just don't fuck it off and go to the strip club. Right? We love Cuba.
Or do. Well, there you have it. Sign up. Link in the show notes. Jailton Almeida, Derrick Lewis. I think this is pretty simple. I think it's pretty linear. The only question is, does Derrick Lewis, Curtis Blades, Jailton Almeida?
Nah.
If he doesn't Curtis Blades, Jailton Almeida, and if you guys don't remember, go back and watch that fight. It's two men just staring and staring and staring and more staring. And then Curtis shot and died. I mean, that was it.
Oh, it was horrible.
And then
he's never been the same.
Yeah. Yeah. I think if Derrick Lewis gets taken down, Almeida's cardio is decent. He's not, I think.
For how he fights and how he's built.
He fights, he's explosive and he does it. Yeah, I think Derrick Lewis is the only thing that gets me is Derrick Lewis seems to think that he wants to quit when he's getting beat up, but getting out grappled, I don't know if that's going to scare him and make him want to quit as much.
We've actually seen that happen a lot of times before, and then he just kind of like stands up and is like, yes. I'm good.
Yeah. And so I don't know. I think Jailton Almeida is a different animal in the grappling department with the guys who's fought before. You get like Blagoy taking him down, side mounting him, but not attacking the submissions right there. I think they're trying to build some heavyweight stars. Derrick Lewis has already proven that he is not the one because he's been given numerous chances and now he's old and they're in Brazil and they're trying to make a name off of Derrick Lewis out of Jailton Almeida. And I think this is a don't overthink it thing. Could Derrick Lewis go nuclear? Absolutely. We've seen him do it before. We've seen him defend. We've seen him do all of the right stuff. He's older. He's going against a really young, really athletic hometown guy. It's Tom Aspinall fighting in England. I think.
Well, that didn't work out that well. He tore his ACL.
It didn't. But
what you mean?
As a whole, but didn't he just? He came back and they're trying to build. When Tom Aspinall fights in England, they're trying to build him.
It's like King Casey fighting in England.
In
London.
Not in England.
Yeah, she fought in London.
I know, but that'd be like Australia. Damn it, get your geography right. Jailton Almeida here, folks. That said, I think on main events, I'm 0-205.
They're
I'm
tough.
the worst on main events.
No, they're tough. Yes, you cost me like $4 million on last year's bare knuckle in the main event. Like Gene Herrera, that little 25er is going to beat the reigning champion bare knuckle guy that's ever fought. Reggie Barnett killed me. But main events just in general.
That's why I'm here.
Every event has been tough. You owe me about $4 million. I'll invoice you.
No, it's on the way.
Okay.
That's it. That's the pod. Happy gambling.
Thanks, guys.